This time of the year, of course, that is going to be our headline in today's health headlines when you have these fireworks and how they can actually trigger PTSD symptoms and how your brain actually changes after developing PTSD and how genetically you may be at risk for it. So a lot of things to discuss. And also we want to talk a little about perhaps some development using stem cells. Now, joining us today is Dr. Matthew Girgenti. Doctor, thanks for coming in. You are the Assistant Professor of Psychiatry and Neuroscience at the always famous Yale School of Medicine. And I want to thank you, first of all, for your time today and out of your busy schedule, of course, with fireworks. They could go off, the next few nights, the next 4 or 5 nights. What does this mean for veterans who may have been exposed? And not only veterans, if you would even take it into maybe people who are not veterans and what this can do.
Good morning, and thank you for having me, Gil. And with this being Independence Day, I also want to thank you for your service. I understand that you're also a veteran.
That's the least I can do. Thank you.
I'm glad that we're able to have this conversation. So you have a great question. I think what's important to understand about people who have PTSD is when fireworks are going off, their brains are detecting danger. They're not celebrating fireworks. Loud, unpredictable sounds can activate threat detection circuits in their brain that have become hypersensitive after trauma, even when a person conscientiously knows that they're in a safe environment and doing safe things. So their brains are retrieving traumatic memories in a very sensory way. So PTSD isn't just simply remembering an event. Specific sounds and smells or sights can actually trigger brain signaling patterns that were active during the original trauma, but they make the experience feel immediate. And so stress chemicals are released very rapidly in people with PTSD, and those altered chemical signals prepare their bodies to fight or to flee or to freeze. And this can lead to symptoms such as racing heart, hypervigilance, anxiety, flashbacks, or even potentially nightmares later. And so the PTSD brain has difficulty updating to the present moment. So brain regions that are normally help us distinguish this is now from that was then, they don't communicate as effectively. And so harmless fireworks can be interpreted as a real threat to people with PTSD. And I think it's important to understand that this is a biological response. This is not a lack of resilience. PTSD reflects lasting changes in how the brain cells themselves communicate after severe psychological trauma. And those changes are measurable, and we are beginning to increasingly understand those signals.
Now, Doctor, great analysis and breakdown about sort of the components that get somebody into this situation that fireworks may trigger. What do you recommend for family members or friends or people close by? What can they do? What's their approach if somebody is dealing with this?
Right, and I think the most important thing for them to do as they're dealing with this is to realize what's happening, to comfort them, to get them out of a particular situation that may be triggering for them or that may be causing a hyperarousal state, and get them someplace where they can start to feel safe. If they're on medication, obviously that's the most important thing that they should be trying to get them on as well, if that's been an issue.
And with that idea of medication, what kind of developments have you been noticing in the field, and where do you see this going with research?
So we've been spending a great deal of time trying to test new medications for people to treat PTSD. There are currently no PTSD exclusive drugs available on the market. Right now, we treat people with PTSD with antidepressants. They are only limited in the amount of efficacy that they have. But we are exploring rapid-acting agents now. I'm sure people have heard of ketamine and people have heard of psilocybin in the direction that those rapid-acting agents are going. And we are hoping that we will be able to develop some of these rapid-acting agents into anti-PTSD therapies.
Well, Dr. Girgenti, I thank you for coming in. Is there anything somebody could search that would want to help somebody they're living with or they're friends with to deal with this? What would you recommend to put in the search?
So the National Center for PTSD, I'm going to plug that the National Center is a center of excellence within the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs that is funded to help. It is mostly for veterans, but the research that's being done there in PTSD would benefit anyone who has it. So that's a great place to start if you're looking to learn more
Wonderful.
information.
Well,
Yes,
you've
Steve.
given us a lot of information that is very valuable, so thank you. Happy 4th, and again, we appreciate your time.